and welcome back to the Simpson Associates YouTube channel. Today we are joined by Barney Lawrence, who has a special report on the Microsoft Fabric conference. So Barney, was FabCon a FabCon?
FabCon was fab. It was a conference of 4,500 people all coming together in Vienna. It's a nice place to have a conference.
Sounds lovely.
My first international conference, my first time speaking abroad, so all very exciting and full of very exciting announcements coming from Microsoft about the future of Fabric.
And today we're going to look at those key announcements and do a high-level overview about what we learned. So why don't we get straight in? What were some of the new features announced at FabCon?
There were a lot of new features. There were so many new features, they had to have two keynotes. So I will pick from my personal perspective, my personal interest. I think some of the key announcements, it was support for graph data within Fabric, the ability to query about links, about relationships in between your data with a new query language. The mapping features, bringing a first-class set of mapping tools and mapping reports to Fabric, giving you the ability to take your data, layer it over maps, picture hotspots, picture paths for journeys, and even linking it in with real-time data so you can see exactly at any point in time where your vehicles, your aeroplanes, whatever it is you want to track in real time against the geographical context. So that was very exciting. The growing concept of reverse ETL was a key feature, that Fabric is becoming more and more a tool that doesn't just work in one direction. It's not where the data just pools, but once the data is pooled, once it's used for those data science models, it can then push instructions, advised stock levels, all sorts of information back out to the source system, so it becomes a two-way conversation, and also lots of ease of use, a new improved interface, data flows, which have always been a little bit slow, a little bit expensive. Microsoft announced on the day they'd got twice as fast and a third as expensive, which is good news for everyone.
But from an overall perspective, with all of these announcements, where do you think this means that Fabric is taking us in the Microsoft world?
Microsoft have a very big vision for Fabric. I think we knew that already, it becoming their data analytics platform, but what's really hitting home at FabCon is the vision is now getting bigger than that. Microsoft's intention is that Fabric is not just the data analytics platform for an organization, but it becomes the data platform, the primary data platform for any organization that's using it. So that's Fabric and that's OneLake as the storage layer below it. So it's not simply becoming that task where you go in, you pull your reports, you look at some results, you look at some KPIs, you do your data science. It's the features like reverse ETL, whereby Fabric is not just sitting in isolation, it's talking two ways, it's pushing information back to source systems. It's driving decision making, it's where record keeping happens, it's where things are matched up and conformed. It's also the core underlying platform that would support Microsoft's AI offering. So Copilot is mentioned in almost every section, and Copilot, to function the way that Microsoft wants it to, it needs data, it needs information, it needs the context about what's happening in your organization, how it's happening, and also the security to prevent it from telling you things that it shouldn't do. And that vision from Microsoft is the bigger picture that we're now seeing of going across the board and growing and overarching, acting as an umbrella to the entire organization's data.
And that's exciting, but also comes with a lot of questions. As it becomes the focus piece and where everything is stored, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny of it from a governance and security, as you mentioned. Now, your talk was on Purview, and I know they sit side by side and kind of conjoined. How is Fabric tackling the security questions?
That's a good question. So Microsoft are aware that as Fabric grows, as more and more data appears in OneLake, in that storage, and is available to everyone, it starts needing controls. So there are new security features, more granular security features to be able to say who needs what, but also one of the most important parts is the understanding and the control and the governance of that data. And that's where Purview comes in as Microsoft's main tool for data governance. If you think about your data, there's no point in having your data and using it unless someone can discover it. And that's where the data catalog comes in. Even if you can find it, you need to be able to understand your data, what it means, what's your definition of profit or margin in this report, so giving you that context. And again, that's where Purview comes in terms of allowing for those definitions. And then finally, you don't want people accessing the data in the right way and the wrong way. And again, the governance comes in terms of understanding your data estate, where those credit card numbers are and how to lock that down. And while that all applies to human beings, it applies doubly so to AI, because AI doesn't have that external context. It's not sitting in the meetings asking questions about where all your data is. So to get Copilot doing what it needs to allow it to deliver the features of having conversations with your data, it needs a huge amount of context and understanding. And things like Purview and cataloging is where that comes in, and that's what Microsoft will be using to deliver that knowledge to the AI, to Copilot, so that it can do what it needs to do.
Well, thank you very much, Barney, for your insight, and thank you for watching. If you've got any questions about anything, then there are lots of resources in the comments below, and be sure to check out our blogs for more answers. Well, thank you very much, Barney, and thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.